Alright children, now come to the second event. First one was activation of chlorophyll. That was one thing which was supposed to be completed. Second thing, and let me tell you, this chlorophyll is something which traps the solar energy or in the form of photons, and it converts the solar energy into chemical energy. Right children? So now you come to the second step, photolysis of water. Before I start with any explanation, let me tell you, photolysis is just a process. It's not necessary always for water only. Photo means light and lysis means breakdown. So if any molecule is broken down in the presence of light, so that will be photolysis, right? So because this is the term which is important with respect to definitions, or this is the term which is important with respect to its equation. Sometimes it is also asked that what occurs during photosynthesis, what happens to the water molecule during photolysis. So you have to take care of that. Photolysis of water, if I am saying, that means here which molecule is going to be broken down? Water. Right, water is H2O. So this is going to be broken down in the presence of light, and this water is going to be disintegrated into its constituent only. Now if I am saying into its constituent, that means hydrogen and oxygen. Right children? So the water will be broken down into hydrogen ions, oxygen and 4 free electrons. This is just a balanced equation. So here you can see to the 4 hydrogen ion atoms are there. So here 4 hydrogen ions, then 4 electrons are released side by side, then 2 atoms of oxygen, perfect to release oxygen in the form of gas. Now always remember that oxygen is liberated. Till now you have learned that oxygen is liberated during photosynthesis. Now you have to keep in mind that oxygen is liberated during photolysis in the light reaction of photosynthesis. So it should be specified now that when water is broken down into its constituent in the presence of light, oxygen is also released. Right children? Now you just see that I have written here free hydrogen ions and free electrons to be utilized. That means if any reaction is taking place, obviously it's not going to be there in vain. I mean, you have to use all these hydrogen and free electrons. Oxygen is liberated, so we use it for our respiration, right? But hydrogen ions and electrons are supposed to be utilized. Just keep this in mind that this is something pending. You have to take care of these hydrogen ions and electrons, right? Now come to the end products of light reaction. End products means after using these hydrogen ions and electrons, what are the products which are formed? So the first one here is ATP. This is your first product, ATP, right? How it is formed? It is formed by the addition of one inorganic phosphate, IP. Here small I stands for inorganic phosphate. When this phosphate adds up with adenosine diphosphate, it becomes adenosine triphosphate, right? And the procedure of this conversion is known as phosphorylation. Now, what is the unique thing here? Children get confused many times when this is given in boards. Define photophosphorylation. In that case, you cannot write that conversion of ATP to ATP by adding one inorganic phosphate is photophosphorylation, because as of now I have not written light here. Let me tell you, in plants and humans, right, ATP is formed by various methods, various procedures. It's not necessary that every time light is needed, right? So in us, light is not needed, but phosphorylation remains the same. But when you talk about plants, you always say that in the presence of light. So the process becomes photophosphorylation. Children, whenever the question comes as name the following or answer in one word, please see whether this conversion is accompanied with the word light or not. If it is accompanied with light, you write photophosphorylation. If it is not accompanied with light, you write only phosphorylation. right? And we always know that whenever we have to add up something, whenever you have to add up something, you need free electrons. So that means this is the first thing where electron is utilized, right? Another thing here is NADP, which is organically, naturally present in the plants, and this NADP has to be reduced, right? Reduced how? Here, these hydrogen ions, if you can see, right? You were having the surplus of these hydrogen ions. These hydrogen ions are added to this NADP to convert it into NADPH, right? And for this addition also electrons are needed. So now you understand whatever was the result of say photolysis and activation of chlorophyll, all those things are used to form the end products. And oxygen here, two atoms were present here, so oxygen is released as the gas, right children? Understand that these two end products, ATP and second one is NADPH, both of these are now going to enter dark phase, because in light reaction two reactions were there and two end products were there. You studied activation of chlorophyll, you studied photolysis, and the end products by the with the help of photolysis and activation of chlorophyll, the end products were ATP and NADPH. But here light reaction gets over. I mean now the products which are formed here, number one is ATP and the two is NADPH. Both of these will be moving to the dark reaction site, and that dark reaction site is stroma. That means these two products will not be remaining inside the thylakoid, rather they will be moving to stroma so as to complete the dark reaction. Children understand dark reaction or light independent reaction? It's also known as Blackman's reaction and also known as Calvin cycle. Right children? So here again I am concluding the video. Let us learn about the Calvin cycle in the next video.